He's sexy, he sings, and he just looks lovely in red. Paul Gross, the star of Due South, is set to launch, or should we say, leap into his third season of that award-winning program. He survived. Paul Gross is with us tonight along with a whole group of people, including his friend David Keeley, because in his spare time, he has just recorded and debuted his first country album. We'll have a little singing from the Mountie right after the news. Well, as promised, our guest tonight, Paul Gross, the singing Mountie. Yes, you've seen him sing a few bars in episodes of Due South, but now he's doing it for real. Not only is the new program starting this Sunday, but this week, earlier this week at the Country Music Awards, he debuted, launched his new country album. Along with David Keeley, it's called Two Houses. We'll hear some of the music tonight. You're a busy guy.
Yes.
Yes. Today, earlier, you were donating your Mountie outfit to Planet Hollywood, right up there with Mick Jagger's leather jackets and gold records. This is big stuff.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's also, it looks good on a wall, I think.
But you've kind of made the Mountie a sex symbol.
You didn't think they were before?
Well, I grew up in small town Saskatchewan with lots of Mounties.
And you didn't look to the
guess I
Mountie?
didn't see them as sex symbols. I saw them as symbols of other things.
You.
Yeah, that's right. And also a great week, I mean, at the Country Music Awards. Not only did you host them, but you got a chance to do a number.
Yeah. It's shameless, really. But
Shameless with Terry Clark and Paul Brand.
You know, it's not a bad backup band.
Did they know they were going to do that? Just you were going to call them up on stage?
Agreed.
And
they thought it would be fun. But it turned out quite well. The two big winners of the night, sort of singing doo-wop behind you.
No, it's wonderful. We're going to hear you sing in a bit, but I want to go back and talk a little bit about Due South, which miraculously is back from the dead.
Yeah.
And your third season starts on Sunday on CTV. How did it come back together again?
A battery of physicians worldwide working around the clock on it. It really is a show with the strangest history. I can't think of anything quite like it. I mean, to begin with, I never thought we'd get on the air the first go-around. I thought we'd make the pilot and it would be sort of shuffled away.
Why didn't you think it would work?
Well, I thought it was too peculiar to fit easily into any of the kind of prearranged slots that the United States networks seem to need. The 1 hour gritty drama, the 1 hour family drama, the half hour sitcom or something. They're pretty, very restrictive kind of categories.
Yeah.
And it sort of crosses over with those things. But when we did get quite good numbers, I guess the pilot fared well, then it goes on to the first season. I thought, oh, well, we'll be there for the second year.
Season, yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't think we'd get through October, but then we continued. And when we got to the end of the first season, I thought, well, we'll be back for the second. Then we were canceled, and then sort of started again just for Canada, and then back on to CBS. And I thought, well, I imagine we'll be back for a third year. Canceled again. And then finally, at the end, I just thought, oh, good, it's finished, and now I can move on. But then Robert Lantos from Alliance was at MIPCon, I think it's called. Anyway, all of the foreign broadcasters
get together and talk about this stuff.
All of the money guys get together. Okay. And all the foreign broadcasters said, why aren't you doing the show anymore? And he said, well, we don't have CBS's participation. So he said, well, they said, we'll pay for it.
But it is a big hit around the world in other countries other than the U.S.
Yeah,
Australia loves it. And
France and Germany.
France loves it, yeah.
Fiji, I'm told.
But they had
very big in Fiji.
Fiji? You're big in Fiji?
They have 7 television
You should do a promotional tour there. I hear the weather's really nice. But, I mean, they had, everybody believed the cancellation was so serious that they actually tore down the set of the house where you live. So in the new season, they actually have to burn it down so that you can have a new place to live.
Well, I didn't really know what to do. We didn't have quite enough money to build a new set. So I thought, well, we could just burn it down in the middle of the first show. Now I'm homeless.
You've been the star. You are now also the writer on this and the executive producer. One of the writers.
Yeah.
Can you do it all?
Some days.
Some weeks.
No, it's kind of, I don't think I would ever undertake it like this again, because the demands as an actor are kind of onerous. I'm in every scene, so I'm there for 14 hours anyway. I think if it were an ensemble cast, something like ER, where I'd work maybe 4 days out of the 8-day shooting schedule, then it wouldn't be all that hard. But it really depends on who you have around you. And this team has been slowly developing over 3 years. It's a very good crew, and the writing staff is really solid. So it's not that bad. It just stuff backs up. That's all. And
now the transition to the CD, to the album, actually came out of a Due South episode. Sort of got this notion.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, David and I had been writing songs
since you were kids.
Yeah, we were womb mates. No, we've been writing songs for a long time, and then, it's sort of a long story. Anyway, we did go down to Nashville to see if we could get a publishing deal, and then decided, in fact, that it would be better just to make the record. And Jack Lenz, who produces it, is and plays on it, is over there.
And all these people are secretly sitting in the dark in this studio. We'll show them to you later.
Anyway, so we got around to making it, but one of the songs, one of the first ones we actually recorded, was used. We sort of did it for one of the episodes. That was the Ride Forever with all of the singing Mounties.
But is this what you really want to do, the singing?
No, I think I would rather be a cardiothoracic surgeon, but I've missed.
But it's a little late for that. So of the
hours are no good.
Of the two remaining choices, big movie star, country and western singing sensation.
Oh, I don't know. I've never had any kind of strategy for a career, so I've just kind of done those things that seemed to be interesting at the time. And it's just an enormous amount of fun to do. I think if the songs, if people like them and they start buying them, it'd be fun to continue to do it.
You actually said once that what you imagine is driving in a truck on your dad's ranch or farm, listening to your own country and western hit on the radio.
That would be perfect.
That would be perfect?
Yeah.
That would be heaven by the dashboard light?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to sing?
Yeah, it's fun.
Will you now?
No.
If we ask you very nicely. Come on, please.
Okay.
Paul Gross, David Keeley, this is a brand new CD. They've just released it earlier this week at the Country Music Awards. And we also have with us tonight, as Paul mentioned, Jack Lenz on piano, and he's the producer of this whole event. And sitting in the back somewhere, because you'll hear him on the CD, and he's here tonight, Asher Horowitz, who's also on guitar, and David Keeley on vocals and guitar. There they are. We've finally, I think, got a shot of you. What are we going to hear?
Blind Man. This is called Blind Man.
All right.
Gray socks and black shoes, black hair and eyes so true. Smile like a cool wind blowing through lips that kiss like a fool. These are the memories I have of you. Now, these are the gifts I took from you. Your skin is so close to mine, seems to know my name. Your laugh, well, let's just say something wicked this way came. And in this old hotel, my heart pounds like a drum. It beats with the rhythm of missing you. This is a rhythm of missing you. Take a look at the blind man, fool ain't got no cane. Blind man is dancing in the crying rain. Well, I am that blind man. I can finally see what I've always known, and you belong to me. Ain't nothing wrong with this hotel that a big bomb couldn't fix. The doorman, well, he's a reprobate. The maid, she's turning tricks. And in my broken sleep, I wake up from some pain. My heart drifts through the window and sails into the rain. Whoa, Lord, I miss you. I miss you here in the dark. This comes from Nashville, baby, it's a call from a wounded heart. And if I want this heart of mine to ever mend, I'm gonna have to find you again. I'm gonna have to find you again. Take a look at the blind man. Fool ain't got no cane. Blind man is dancing in the crying rain. Well, I am that blind man. I can finally see what I've always known. You belong to me. I can finally see what I've always known. That you belong to me.
That's a beauty.
Thank you.
Paul Gross and David Keeley, this is one of the songs off their new album just released this week entitled Two Houses. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Paul about all his many and varied careers.
I don't believe this.
I know it is remarkable. Although Horaceous auratus can withstand fluctuations in temperature far greater than generally known.
You went into a burning building for fish?
No, not exclusively. Dave, keep an eye on them.
That man just went into a burning building for fish.
To record the passage of time flawlessly, beautifully, begin with the perfect circle of the sun. To capture the precision of time, study the rotation of the planets, the passage of day into night. Then inscribe a single gold dot.
Okay, this is how we're going to play this move. You do the leg work, I'll hang in the background.
You'd prefer not to be seen.
I'll be seen when I need to be seen.
I see.
I see, what does that mean?
Nothing.
No, when someone says I see, it means something.
Oh,
What?
it only takes an extra second to be courteous. Up. After you.
After you.
Thank you kindly.
You're welcome.
A genuine sneak preview. Due South premieres for its third season this Sunday, and that's part of this new episode. Paul Gross, the star of Due South, and also just on the verge of becoming a country and western singing sensation, is with us tonight. Don't you think? Well, I guess you're already there.
No, this is a little premature.
Okay, all right. We'll just hold our applause, shall we?
Let's see what happens, yeah.
Now, this new season, so many things have happened. Not only did you have to have your house burnt down because the set was gone, but you've got like new characters. Your Chicago cop buddy is gone because he couldn't do a deal to get the paycheck he wanted.
Yeah.
So now you've got a new one. Now, how do you explain that?
It's a little sleight of hand.
And what is the audience going to think? How do you
Well, I
explain
don't know.
this
I
to
mean,
the
that's
audience?
that is the big gamble with the year is that. I mean, whatever happened with David and Alliance, they were unable to come to terms, so we had to go and find someone to replace him. And
So you came up with this story.
Well, yeah, I mean, the premise was sort of sitting there, that we kind of figured we could go, that David Marciano was a dead ringer for, or Ray Vecchio was a dead ringer for a lieutenant in the mob. And so he's plucked from the police force and put into deep cover. And in order to preserve his cover, someone has to sit at the desk at the police station and answer to the name of Ray Vecchio. So we have another new character whose actual name is Stanley Kowalski.
Now,
has
doesn't
an
this
ex-wife
ring
named
a bell?
Stella.
Yeah, exactly. That is the Marlon Brando character.
Yeah.
Streetcar Named Desire. So this is just you being cheeky, is it?
Although it got us into sort of a kind of legal problem, because apparently there was a Stanley, because his name is Stanley Raymond Kowalski, the character's name. And there is a Stanley R. Kowalski in Chicago. So then we proposed that we find some guy in Chicago who would want to have his name changed legally to Stanley R. Kowalski. And then he would let us use his name. Anyway, so we got Callum Keith Rennie, who's, I don't know if you're familiar
Another
with his work.
Canadian actor. This is
And
good.
an absolute raving lunatic.
So
he's
you're
unhinged.
having fun.
It is. It's a ball. But it's very frightening, actually. You know, because the fans are frightening, but it's daunting. The fan support, the core loyal audience for this show, which is really what's kept it alive over its rocky history. I feel an enormous obligation to fulfill their desires. Yeah, and I hope they all go for Callum. I can't see why they wouldn't. He's a lot of fun.
He's very cute. I think it'll
really
work.
Cute.
Yeah, I think it'll work. I think he's also a good actor.
Yeah, but the cute part seems to overweigh it.
It does seem to be important, doesn't it? But no, the fan thing is amazing because there's all these Paul Gross Due South chat rooms on the internet, and in fact, didn't the city of Toronto declare Due South Day Paul Gross Day?
Well, not me Day. It was, I think, the Friends of Due South Day. Yeah, it was really bizarre. They had this little ceremony at Queen's Park, and I thought there would be maybe 500 people, but there were like 2,000 people from all over the world they flew in.
Now, who watches this? Because you talk about kind of having a dual audience out there. You've got some sort of middle-of-the-road people, and then a couple of pretty offbeat communities here who seem to grab hold of this one.
Yeah, the cross-section that it seems to hit is really bizarre, and I think with the addition of Callum, that's probably going to become even, it'll just be even broader, but it does seem to sweep right the way across age and gender. So it's very hard to know what to write. We're not actually kind of appealing to any particular mark.
But you sort of say that there's a right-wing group that is sort of into defense and family and all of...
And Fraser as an object lesson in civic duty, how a model citizen ought to behave.
Yeah.
But then there is a whole kind of, it's not subversive, but the show does have a kind of slant on it that's, what's the word, offbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't approach anything particularly head on. And then that seems to appeal to an awful lot of people who...
And then in gay bars in San Francisco, guys are dressing up and mounting
dressing
out.
up as Mounties, yeah.
You never can tell, can you?
No, it's odd, really.
Now, this business of the constable, Benton Fraser, being such a perfect guy, I mean, it presents a couple of problems in terms of the character's credibility, and also, I mean, I guess for you, dealing with this.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is no human being like this guy, I don't think. So it's, as long as I assume that there's no human being like this, I don't have to live up to his moral standard, because it's pretty punishing, actually, if you lay your own behavior up against him.
Well, that's what I was saying. Does Paul Gross get intimidated by the constable?
You know, if you play a part like this for so long, or as long as I have, you can't help but it sort of seeps into you. And there are times I'll be doing something, gee, I wonder what Fraser would do. And oh my God, I'm not even myself anymore.
But that's also the hard part with having sort of the multi-tasks this time around. I mean, acting, writing, producing. I mean, who stops and says, gee, I don't think Benton would actually do that, Paul?
Well, it usually falls to me to have to
have that conversation with yourself.
Have that conversation with myself. But we have a lot of the directors have been on the show for quite some time, so they go, that seems a little over the line, or that seems too far. Oh, yes, you're right, and that is too far. And it's interesting, though, the show's it seems to be able to absorb an awful lot of stuff, an awful lot of different styles, and sometimes we just have to push it as far as we can before we know that you've gone too far. So, oh, I have to pull it back.
The last time you were here in the program, you came with a great big gash in your forehead, of course, that was fake. You'd come right off the set where you were shooting.
Oh, right.
You do a lot of your own stunts. You do all of them?
Not all of them, no. Yeah. Some of them are lunatic. So.
Well, we've got one here. Let's take a look at this. This is Paul Gross in a scene from Due South, and we'll find out whether this is really him or not.
Okay, guys, look like you're going over. Look out!
Now, what happens when somebody says, let's do that again? And you have to
actually, that kind of stuff's a lot of fun to do. That is me in that, but that actually continues on to a 200-foot drop. So where you see us leave the edge of that thing, then there's 200 feet of the guys falling, and they land in this pool at the bottom on a huge waterfall that we found somewhere in the Finger Lakes in New York. And that's not me
and
on
that
a 200
is not you,
foot.
because you're not crazy.
Well, I'd do it, but the insurance is an issue.
It's just too high. Are you a role model?
Am I, or is Fraser?
I don't know.
I think
both,
Fraser
I
is. No, I don't think I am. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought of that before. I think the character is. I mean, there is something to be said about being honest and honorable and loyal. I'm neither of those. None of those things.
None of those things. But how does the audience react to you? I mean, are you Paul Gross, or are you, you know, are you Benton?
That's been one of the interesting things about doing something that's gained in popularity is the fan mail and people that we run into. I think there's an odd kind of fuzzy line between the characters you play and yourself. And
because everybody says on the internet, on the chat lines, that Paul Gross, not the Mountie, is the last true gentleman.
and they know me really well.
I guess so.
Yes, I guess that's true.
So this is a crossover role.
It's one of the parts of me that I bring to the character.
He is just at this moment going to claim credit for being the last true gentleman. Paul Gross is our guest tonight. We'll continue our conversations about Due South and about his new budding singing career. We just declared him a sensation a moment ago, but we're going to let him build toward that. Stay with us. Here's a scene from Due South.
Razor, what are you doing? Do not touch my inner thigh or cat. Your foot off the brake. I'm trying to stop. You cannot stop the car. Not with you hold on to my leg, I can't. Wait, it is too dangerous. This is a public thoroughfare. Pedestrians may be afoot. Look, I do not risk my neck for anybody. But the car's gonna blow. No, it is not. It is very, very, very rare that a car ever actually explodes. Mental note. Equip your vehicle with the fire extinguisher. I am all over that. We gotta find a safe place to deposit this car.
Girls and boys come out to play. The moon is shining bright this day. Leave your supper and leave your sleep.
Paul Gross is our guest tonight on the program, the star of Due South. It begins its new season, its third season on CTV this Sunday night, and it has been a troubled, rocky road to get there, but it is there. And this week, Paul also launched a new album. It's called Two Houses. He wrote it in conjunction with his friend David Keeley. They sing, they play together. So do a bunch of other people who are here tonight. Jack Lenz, who plays the piano and who also produced this, and Asher Horowitz, who was on guitar and who was sitting there as well. So tell us a little bit, Paul, about this the song.
This song?
Yeah. The one that the CD
You want
is
me to
titled for,
title?
Two Houses.
You'd like me to set the song up?
I'd like you to set the song up.
Very well,
Can you do that? I have some suggestions.
This song is called Two Houses,
Yes, excellent.
and it is about the stuff of life.
Could you be a bit more specific?
No.
No blocking, no blocking.
I won't block. Well, it's about people who... I don't really...
Okay, here's the deal. Sing clearly, and we'll figure it out
Yeah,
ourselves.
you can, it's
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
All right, okay.
Don't call me for supper if you don't mean to feed me. And don't tell me you love me with that gun in your hand. 'Cause I fall down dumbfounded in the face of your beauty. Yeah, one look from you and I am a fool in the palm of your hand. There's a house we call love, built next door to hate. Both of them got along in a white picket gate. Well, their taxes done differ, and their water's the same. But in one you get comfort, and in the other house shame. Do you mind if I speak? You know, I'd like to be frank. Their cooking is wretched, and this coffee is rank. But I look across this table to the clutch of your eye, and I'm kind of thrilled that we have been cursed to live side by side. There's a house we call love, built next door to hate, and both them got along picking day. Well, their Texas done differ, and their water's the same. And in one you get comfort, and in the other house shame. Why do we bother? Why do we try? I think we should call it a night. You go to your house and I'll go to mine. We'll wake up tomorrow and we'll pick up the fight. Well, there's a house we call love, built next door to hay, and both of them got along. Yes, they do, in a white picket day. Well, their taxes don't differ, and their water's the same. In one you get comfort, and in the other house shame. In one you get comfort, and in the other house shame.
Okay, I get it.
It is clear, isn't
It
it?
is really clear. Come on back and bring your guitar. That's a good thing. Now, you and David wrote that one. Mm-hmm. So was this about your relationship as writers, or is there something we should know here?
No, it's just our marriages.
There's nothing ever personal in this.
No.
Is it hard to write with somebody else in a collaboration? Or do you have fun doing it? I mean, I see you two kind of, you're almost nodding and winking throughout that.
It is a lot of fun
Yeah.
to write together. It sort of depends on the song. Some of them David more or less finished, and then I would sort of add a bits and pieces, or I would kind of more or less have the song done, and he would add. This one we wrote sort of trading lines. I mean, it's fun because then you just make yourselves laugh.
Yeah.
Both of them got lawns. Their taxes don't differ. I just think
You got to
really
work
fun.
through all of this. I mean, all of this stuff that you do, that song. I mean, there's real pain in there too, but it's funny. I mean, there's humor in looking at relationships. Due South is filled with all of this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Were you funny as a kid? Where's this come from, or do you just like to laugh?
Oh, I think it's far preferable to have a giggle than to be moany and groany all the time. And things are funny, I think. There's somewhere in the... It's been very interesting to actually, with sort of the death of Lady Diana, and I don't want to make it a big thing, but how everybody sort of falls on these different sides of how we're allowed publicly to react to that, what you're publicly allowed to say. I mean, it's kind of peculiar. And some things are just really funny. I mean, there was a second unit focus puller on our show whose funny grandparents live in Sault Ste. Marie, who phoned to tell them that Diana had died and said, oh yeah, she's dead. Yeah, she was being chased by Pavarotti. And I think that's just a hilarious image of people driving away from an Italian tenor. It's just very funny. But it's been interesting repeating that to different people, and some people say, oh, it's terrible taste.
We will get letters from people saying you are no longer the last true gentleman for having said that.
Well, I think it's a horrible tragedy that she died, and in the night that she died, I had just been to see Oedipus Rex at Stratford, and the last line of Sophocles is, don't call any man fortunate until they're dead, because only the dead are free. And then to come to that news, it's very... But I do think that somehow always in the core of drama there is something that's funny, or you can find humor in it. Not that you're laughing at the event itself, but there's usually something in any human situation that is...
Well, even her situation was filled with irony. As sad and twisted as it was, there were ironies there.
Yeah. And I think that when Due South is at its best, and it's a very difficult show to make consistently, or to make it consistent, it's very hard to do. But when we're at our best, it has that kind of combination of things, or collision of real human drama and the absurd. And they do sort of coexist in our own lives, and it's nice when you can actually get them to work together in a television show.
Now, speaking of absurd, you had to fire the dog.
Yeah, I get into so much trouble when we talk about the dog.
The dog you had, the two dogs that you had playing Diefenbaker.
Well, by the end of the season last year, we really only had one.
One dog.
And his skill level did not really expand. It kind of contracted a little bit to the point that sit was becoming a baffling command. We felt that it was, and principally for production reasons, because it's
you
always
don't
a
have
time
time.
issue. Yeah.
The nickname on the set was Overtime.
Overtime, or Golden Time. No, Golden Time was going. And the crew was always, or they call him OT. Oh, great, here comes OT. We're going to have a good weekend.
So do you have a dog this season that understands the fiscal realities of the 90s?
He's really acquainted with budgets. He understands the line item as it particularly relates to him. Yeah, the new animal, Draco, is extraordinary, actually. He can do a million different things. So it really expands the number of the kinds of things we can ask him to do, or we can.
It's incredible when you watch an animal do that. I mean, it's kind of fun working with him, eh?
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Yeah. And we don't, you can't really have much of a personal relationship with a dog like that. Because
well,
that's
I don't know.
the trainer who needs to,
Yeah.
to actually be the only one that he really listens to. Otherwise.
But Diefenbaker will be Diefenbaker.
Yes.
So even though your partner is no longer your partner and you have a new partner.
Rin Tin Tin or anything.
And you don't live in the, okay, all right. We'll keep you posted as the evening, unfolds here as to what you can expect. Paul Gross is our guest. When we come back, some more about Due South, his career on the big screen as well, on the movie screen, and of course his singing career. Stay with us.
The Macintosh operating system, Windows 95. Although watching them run at the same time is not terribly special, watching them run from one computer is.
Hey, guys, at what point in the day are you absolutely starving?
After school.
And how do you handle this hunger?
McCain. Your pepperoni pizza pockets.
Why McCain?
Well, because they've given us more pepperoni.
And more pepperoni is important to you?
Duh.
Pick up McCain pepperoni pizza pockets and now get more pepperoni.
Cool.
Thanks, William. You can park it out back.
Yes, sir.
Acura, designed with purpose, driven by passion.
To create multimedia as easily as this, you'd need to create it. Using one of these.
Paul Gross is a pretty busy guy, writing and starring in and producing Due South and hosting the Country Music Awards and writing an album and singing and all of these things. But you had time to, I guess in the last few months, do a remake of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Mm-hmm. And, I'm getting the sense somehow you didn't think it was great.
No, it wasn't. We've sort of called it 20,000 Scenes Down the Drain. We shot it in London actually last fall, September maybe, at Pinewood. That was really fun actually, working at Pinewood Studios because it has all this great history and it's like a garbage dump. They don't throw their sets out, so there are bits of Batman and bits of
that would be fun.
aliens and things like that. Yeah, it was neat. I don't know, it was just one of those projects that seemed to be sort of a good idea at the time. I haven't even seen it. You have a clip of it?
No, we do have a clip of it. And you were in the Kirk Douglas role, obviously.
But I didn't get to do the Kirk Douglas song, which I thought was great. Do you remember the original movie?
No, let's
What was a terrible
hear it.
movie? No, I can't remember how it goes. But you've got to, I recommend everybody go get it just to see the Kirk Douglas song. It's insane.
So, but you don't do that here. Well, we don't know what we're going to see. We're going to see Paul Gross in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the remake. He is not actually Kirk Douglas.
Is there something else?
Yeah. You know, when I was out there, I pretty much made my peace. I only had one regret. Just one.
What is it you want of me, Ned? Another conquest to brag about in the taverns?
You know, I think there's something you should know about me.
What?
I'm a married man.
Well, you are a married man, it's true. That is true on the screen and in real life. So was that not one of your finest moments? And it didn't look like it was hers either.
Looked pretty good to me. I'd like to see the whole thing. I like the sideburns and that belt.
It was nice. How do you get into these projects? I mean...
By not saying no, I'd rather not do that. No, actually, it seemed to be like quite a good idea at the time. But then, the more I'm involved in this business, the more I realize how extraordinarily difficult it is to actually make anything good. Because there's so many people involved. At any step along the way, some key ingredient doesn't work, then the whole thing doesn't work. And you can approach movies with the best of intentions, and they just sort of don't come off.
Do you have a taste for any more of that? I mean, does Hollywood appeal in any way?
I think it would be a great deal of fun to do to just act in some gigantic Hollywood film. Yeah, I think it would be a rush just to see all of that equipment and all of the gear and blowing up whole buildings and things. It would be a lot of fun. And in fact, we've been finished doing this episode that's sort of the 12th and 13th. It's a two-parter that has piracy and submarines and lake freighters and a three-masted square rigger and doing all of these big scenes out in Lake Ontario. I remember coming in one night thinking, boy, it'd be really fun if we had about $30 million. Right. Actually do it, just put all of those pieces together.
Call Mr. Spielberg and see if he'd like to do it.
Please give me $30 million.
But you've got a wife who's an actress who works. You've got two young kids. Is it realistic to think that, would you consider moving to the States?
Well, we have been there back, on and off. Los Angeles is not my favorite place in the world to live. It's partly because it's quite ugly, but there's also no center, and in addition to which, I think the value structure, it's I'm at odds with it all the time. And I think if I can continue to do what I do here and go there, I mean, I do have to go there from time to time, and think of it as like I'm in the Merchant Marines. I have to disappear for a month or something. And it's okay.
It's funny because that whole other culture, I mean, it's part of the reason of the appeal of Due South in the States, because they live in such a cynical, crime-ridden society, but it's also the reason they don't buy it, because this doesn't have enough blood and gore in it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think also the network never really knew how to sell it. Never were able to explain to people that actually it's okay to have an earnest, moral, urban fable and humor and action all together. I mean, that sort of baffled them, so I don't think they were able to explain it to them terribly well. And the other thing is, I think that the comedy in Due South owes more to a British tradition.
Right.
Paul Haggis is from here. It was very influenced by
Maybe they just don't get the jokes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just goes over their head. Because their humor, well, I don't mean to say that they don't get them, but it's sort of a pattern. They understand sitcoms, which are very obvious, and this is much subtler.
Paul Gross is our guest. When we come back after this short break, we'll hear his lovely voice again and be joined by his collaborator, David Keeley, their new CD just released this week entitled Two Houses.
You could be one of 60 lucky viewers to meet Pamela Wallin in Hong Kong. CBC News World is celebrating Air Canada's 60th anniversary by giving away 30 trips for two to Hong Kong. Watch Pamela Wallin weeknights at 10 Eastern from September 15th through October 3rd. When you see the toll-free number, be the 60th caller and you can win a week in Hong Kong. 2 trips for two will be awarded each night. See you in Hong Kong. Air Canada, bringing you more and more of Asia.
Ordering our airline tickets was a cinch.
Introducing the most online from Sprint Canada. An internet service so easy, it's amazing.
I'll email the hotel for reservations.
Get unlimited internet access for just $22.95 per month.
Wow.
Your first month free.
Wow.
And a 24-hour helpline.
Wow. Check out this cool video.
Get on the internet with the most online. Call toll-free 1-888-232-EASY today. Introducing a new fast way to earn Air Miles travel miles. The new American Express Air Miles credit card. the no-fee credit card that earns you air travel and lets you carry a balance. You'll get travel miles virtually every time you use it. And you'll earn travel miles 2 ways when you use it at participating Air Miles sponsors. Plus, you'll get worldwide service that goes the extra mile.
American Express, how may I help you?
Call 1-888-656-MX for this new American Express card and do more.
Paul Gross, star of Due South, is with us tonight, and joining us on the set now, David Keeley, who is his partner in crime when it comes to writing country music and producing this album, Two Houses. So you've known this guy a while, have you?
About 13 years.
And?
I'm still okay, I think.
What is it that we should actually know about this guy?
Oh dear. We're going there, are we?
Yeah, briefly.
No, he's a kid.
At heart.
Yeah, he's a kid. That's it. Paul Gross, the kid.
The kid.
Yeah.
And so you too.
Well, yeah.
I'm an adult.
Desperately wants to be an adult, but
it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. He won't allow himself.
Now, you're both actors. You're at Stratford doing Richard III.
Coriolanus.
Yeah.
Juno and the Paycock.
But you both really have this. I mean, you keep getting drawn back into this, into the music.
Yeah, well, I started out in the music out west in Vancouver years ago in '81. I was playing the bars out there.
Yeah.
And then an old theater arts teacher said, "We're doing this play, why don't you come and audition for it?" So I did, and I kept doing it. But I never really left the music. But I wasn't writing at that time. I was just doing a lot of covers. And Paul was down in Nashville a couple of years ago shooting a film and was visiting at the house and said, "Country music, it's unbelievable. I was just down in Nashville. You've got to hear this song." So he played Ride Forever. I fell on the floor and we started writing.
Did you, I mean, was the country music, did you come to that later?
I guess a little later, yeah. I'd always listened to kind of everything. Mostly, I think if I look in the background, it's folk influenced. That's kind of the Canadian base of things, from Lightfoot and Joni Mitchell.
But you went to Nashville in the penny drop.
Well, what you hear in Nashville, though, in the club scene is very different from what they play kind of mainstream on the radio.
Right.
And there's some really extraordinary, absolutely amazing music there, and it's really exciting. And a lot of the root stuff, going way back, sort of the origins of country, are played in bands that are reviving, like BR549, and there's a whole nother side of country, or what Emmylou Harris, I think, called the dark underbelly. There's a whole side of it that you don't hear a lot on the radio. That's really, really terrific stuff.
So is this going to work, the Two Houses album? I mean, in what category are you going to be? Is this new country? Is this, what is it?
I don't...
We have no idea.
I think it's more folky, probably.
Yeah.
I sort of like to think of it as a hip-hop album.
Yes.
Without the rhythm.
Without the rhythm. There was a lot of hip-hopping around earlier. This is true. No, but does it matter to you, David? I mean, obviously you want it to be a big success, but...
No, and that's why when we were down in Nashville 3 years ago, we went, oh no, we don't write this kind of music. Yeah. We write, I don't know what we write. We write, I think it's more of from a Canadian viewpoint.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, I just think of people like Joni Mitchell and Bruce Cockburn and Stan Rogers and Gordon Lightfoot and the Tragically Hip, and I mean the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And their stories seem to be, and I don't mean to be putting down new country, but the stories seem to be more complex or more poetic.
Regardless of the genre, I mean.
It doesn't matter the genre. It's just
I think it's very difficult to actually put your finger on it, but I know that a friend of mine who's in Nashville, works for a publishing company, there's a Canadian writer that they have there, and he played some of our stuff for this Canadian writer who said, "Oh yeah, that's Canadian, I get that." So there's something in the nature of the music that, it's sort of the Rankin family. I don't know that you'd hear that coming from anywhere other than here.
But it's true about the movies and the television too. I mean, people will say the same thing. You know that's a Canadian program, and it's hard to put your finger on it. But you know it.
But there is we do have a distinct sensibility. And I think we have one collectively, in spite of all of our argument that, oh, Canada is just a series of regions and there's nothing unifying it. There is something, nobody's been able to write it down.
I think we should hear some of this collaboration. Can we have you both return to your stage?
Sure, I have my pick.
You have your pick.
I have my pick, Pamela.
You take your microphone off so that we don't lose you on the way over there. And Paul Gross and David Keeley will make their way over there. We want to thank Jack Lenz, too, who is the producer on this, who's also on the piano tonight. He's one of, oh, don't wreck your guitar. One of the creators on the soundtrack for Due South as well. And Asher Horowitz is with us on guitar. Okay, so this song is Voodoo. Are you going to tell us about this, Paul? I dare not ask. Should we just listen and we'll know what it's about?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. David Keeley, Paul Gross, Voodoo.
Something in the way you walk, maybe, baby, just the way you talk is shaking all the leaves out of the tree. Something in the way you smile, teeth and lips and hair run wild. Yeah, surely this has brought me to my knees. Oh Lord, I'm down upon my knees. Yes, Lord, I'm down upon my knees. And I don't know which way to turn, which way to go. What did you do to me? Did you do a little seance? Did you do black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Did you do a little seance? Did you do black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, yeah, yeah. Oh, looks like the wind's blowing. Feels like a hurricane's coming, it's coming from the center of your eyes. These eyes are deep as blue, these eyes that are so true. You got the eyes to make me cry. Oh Lord, I'm down upon my knees. Yes, Lord, I'm down upon my knees. And I don't know which way to turn, which way to go. What did you do to me? Did you do a little seance? Did you do a black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Did you do a little seance? Did you do black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Hush now, darling, I don't plan to cry. I said, hush now, baby, that ain't my style. Look at you, God knows I do. Put it down to a thing called voodoo. Put it down to the curse of love. Put it down to fate. Hey! Did you do a little seance? Did you do a black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Did you do a little seance? Did you do a black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby? Did you do a little seance? Did you do a black cat romance? Did you do a little Sundance? Did you do some voodoo, baby?
The song is Voodoo. The album is Two Houses by Paul Gross and David Keeley on vocals and guitar, Asher Horowitz on guitar, and Jack Lenz on piano. He's the producer. Terrific music. It's
Thanks.
just great. It's really wonderful. And this Sunday, of course, the third season of Due South is unveiled on CTV Sunday night. It's back. It's got at least one more year in it. Yes, there's a new dog, okay? That's a secret part.
You're not allowed a dog.
Okay, I'm not allowed to. Now, you were being a bit of a smart aleck. You think you can play us out with a new theme? This is Friday night. Want you to listen to this and hope you enjoy your weekend.
I can't remember the words.
Come on.
I'm just making it up.
Come on.
Okay. Well, here we are on Pamela Wallin Live, talking and laughing some. Here we are on Pamela Wallin Live, boy, we've been having fun. Good night, everybody.
Pamela Wallin's wardrobe, provided by award-winning designer